Hey, what's up guys? So today I'm going to be showing you what I have in the bag. So the bag that I've been currently using for probably the past year and a half is the Paige Pierce Grip bag. I don't remember which series it is, but it's the one where she has a picture of Hawaii on the bag, and I love the beach, so I really like this bag. So I'm going to first start off with my putting putters. I'm going to be putting with soft EMAC Judges. I've been putting with soft putters for the past probably a little bit over a year now. I just started putting with them during winter because I couldn't get any grip on slicker plastic, so I switched to the soft ones, and I've just been putting with them since. And I love that if you hit the ground, they just kind of stick. They don't really slide very much, so I've been putting with these for the past year or so. So now on to my throwing putters. I have 5 throwing putters, and I'm going to start off with the 2 ones that I use the most. So I have the K1 Softberg. I love this thing forehand. I throw it a little bit backhand, but I throw it any straight approach shot within probably 200 feet and in. I'm probably throwing the Berg for it. I can get really good like baby hyzer flips or really good dead straight shots with the Berg, and I can give like runs to the basket a lot with the Berg too. So this is probably what I'm throwing approach shots most of the time. I love throwing this thing. And there's only, I think, 2 discs in my bag that aren't MVP, and this is one of the 2. Now the second one is going to be the Z-Flex Zone. I love these and the Get Freaky zones. This one is going to be more my overstable approach disc if I have any wind, or if I need a disc to go right on my forehand, or if I need an overstable approach shot for my backhand. This is what I'm going to be doing, what I'm going to be using. I throw it a lot backhand and forehand. The Berg I kind of only throw forehand, but this is going to be a go-to disc backhand and forehand. Alright, so for a little bit of a straighter shot, I have this Proxy. It's in the glow plastic. It's the Jowapalooza disc, or is in the Jowapalooza pack. This is just like a point and shoot putter. It goes really far, and I don't throw it forehand. I have to throw it pretty soft forehand, or it's not super torque resistant. So I pretty much just use a Berg for the shots that I'll be using this. So this is kind of one of my only backhand only discs. I love throwing this on like dead straight shots. So this is going to be like my straight backhand putter that I'll be throwing. So I have this Electron stabilizer. So this was a special run, but now Streamline is coming out with a new Electron stabilizer that's going to be a stock disc. So now you're going to be able to get these more often. I use these for like hyzer flip forehands because I'd say it's close, similar to like a Jawbreaker zone. I will use it for hyzer flip backhands too. I use it a lot in the woods if I'm doing standstill and trying to scramble. This is where it mostly comes out. I don't really use it too much off the tee, but it is a really good hyzer flip disc off the tee. And then my last one is my most overstable approach disc. This is the Entropy. I don't really power up on this disc very often. It's more of just like a touchy approach shot if I have something that needs to go really hard right. I'll actually power up on this backhand though. If I'm playing in a really heavy wind, this is probably what I'm going to be using a lot for backhands if I don't want it to go as far as the zone. It's more overstable than the zone, but it's more like an overstable Berg, I'd say. It doesn't go very far just because of how overstable it is. And I use this kind of as a really like windy situations or like touchy approach shots for my forehand. All right, now on to the mids. I have 4 mids in the bag. I'll start with most overstable, and it's going to be this Neutron Prism Pyro. This is almost like a Justice. It's a really overstable mid-range. I use this forehand and backhand if I need pretty overstable mid for a shot. It's very good in all situations. It's really good in the wind. It's very reliable. I just don't throw it as often because I don't really throw choppy forehands. I like to throw flat most of the time. So this is going to go really right on if I throw flat forehands. I will throw it probably more backhand just because I can make it fly a little bit straighter on a backhand because I can get more spin, but it's a very reliable overstable mid. And then I have this Matrix, which I love. It's very similar to a zone, it just goes farther. So if I throw this forehand, it's gonna go straight for a little bit and then have a reliable fade at the end every time. And you can get flex shots with this too. You can't throw it on as much anhyzer as a Pyro, but you can still get flex shots with this. And I love it backhand too. This is like a very straight with a nice reliable overstable finish at the end for backhand. So this is probably gonna be my most thrown mid-range that I'll throw. And then I have the Hex. I love this disc. It's really good forehand and backhand. The reason I love it so much is because of forehands. This is gonna be the first straight mid-range that I've been able to throw forehand. I've thrown Buzzes before forehand. I've tried throwing the Mustang forehand. I've tried throwing the Truth forehand. None of them seem very like torque resistant. This is the first straight mid-range that I felt is super torque resistant. I can throw it pretty hard on like a slight hyzer and it'll flip up to flat and just go dead straight. And you can't really find that too much with straight mid ranges. And then backhand, this thing might do a baby higher flip, but just pushes so straight. It has like barely any fade or turn to it. So that's one reason why this is just a point and shoot mid range. All right, and then for my last mid-range, I have the Uplink. I love this disc just because of its understability. I don't really power up on it backhand too much because you can get really, if you're a backhand player, you can get a really good hyzer flip to turn backhand if you don't throw far sidearms. But I will throw far sidearms for times out, probably using this disc for that. I use it a lot in the woods for forehands. I don't power up on this, but I do touchy forehands. I came from Ultimate, so I'm used to putting a lot of snap on my wrist or to get a lot of spin. And that's where this disc is really good. If you're ever in the woods and you can't really swing your arm very much, but can use a lot of wrist, that's where I use this, because this will just fly dead straight without a lot of power. And if you get a lot of spin on it, it's gonna fly really straight. So I'll use this kind of in the woods for those kind of situations. All right, so on to my fairway drivers. So I have 4 fairway drivers. I'm gonna start off with the Crave. So I have this in Cosmic Neutron. This is probably my most thrown fairway driver. This thing goes really far. I can get it over 400 feet a lot of the time. It's kind of similar to the Hex flight-wise. It just goes farther. So like you can get really good like baby hyzer flips, and it might turn just a tad and then have a little bit of fade at the end. It's just such a reliable disc. I will throw this on forehand too. Really good hyzer flip forehand disc that's just gonna go right dead straight. So I definitely suggest anybody looking for that 6-7 speed. This is a 6.5 speed. This is just like a dead straight fairway. And then I have another Crave. This one is beat in. So this one is flippier. I can get like hyzer flip to turns out of this, or get like really big hyzer flips with this on a forehand, or kind of get out of jail cards to where if I'm in the woods and I need like a big turnover forehand shot to get around trees, this is where what I'll probably be using for that, because it's pretty understable now. So this is kind of more of a utility shot. I don't use it quite as much anymore, but it's more of a utility disc for me. And then I have a Glow Resistor. This disc is pretty overstable. I'll use this on kind of chop forehand shots if I need something to S shape in the woods, or I'll throw this backhand in a lot of wind, because this is gonna fight the wind. I can throw it really hard flat, and it's not gonna really turn at all. It's just gonna go dead straight and with a pretty hard finish at the end. So this is just gonna be a very reliable, slower disc, instead of having like a 9 or 10 overstable disc like a Firebird or so. This is gonna be that, just in a slower speed. And then I have the Terra. This disc, I don't really throw it forehand. I throw it a ton backhand. This disc is so nice because it's not super overstable like you would think like a Firebird would be, but it's very reliable overstable to where if you throw it really hard flat, it's not going to turn at all. It has like 0 turn to it, but then it's not going to dump at the end. So I can throw it really hard flat, it's just going to go dead straight for a little while and then have a reliable fade at the end. But it's never going to want to turn. So a lot of times when you see discs like that, like the Resistor, it's going to be really overstable at the end. This isn't super overstable at the end. It is overstable, but not beefy overstable. So if you're looking for that slot, this is like an 8 speed. I definitely suggest trying this. All right, now to my distance drivers. So I will say I do have one more fairway in here. This is just a utility disc. This is one of the first discs that I ever bought whenever I started playing disc golf. It's a Thief. I'm pretty sure the Thief is supposed to be overstable, but this thing is so flippy now. This is like my Hydro Flip to roller disc or my Tomahawk disc if I need to get out of gel really easily. I don't really throw it forehand because it's just gonna roll right away forehand if I throw it hard. This is just kind of just a utility disc. So I don't really put it in the fairway class. It's just a utility disc. So for my distance drivers, I'm gonna start off with the Tesla. The Tesla, I guess this could be considered a fairway driver-ish. It's a 9-speed, depending on if you want to call that a distance driver. On here it says it's a distance driver, but you could put it in either, I'd say. So this is kind of similar to the Terra, but it has a little bit more turn to it. So I can throw this backhand, and if I throw it really hard, I might get a little turn out of it, but then it's going to come back pretty hard. And then I'll throw it on forehands too. I'll throw either flat forehands with a really overstable finish at the end, or I'll throw choppy forehands with this and know that it's going to come out at the end. It's not super overstable. It is a little bit more overstable than the Terra, though, I will say that. But Simon has been liking this disc a lot, and it's super reliable, so I definitely suggest trying this Tesla out. Alright, so I'm going to get to one of two that I have. This is going to be the Wave and a Cosmic Neutron. This is newer, so it has a little bit of a different flight than my other Wave, which my other Wave is, I feel like it's a Photon that's just misprinted. So this Wave, I can get pretty good hyzer flips with it on a forehand. It's not super understable, but it'll be a reliable hyzer flip to maybe turn a little bit. But then since it's new, it's going to have enough fade at the end. So it will hyzer flip to turn, and then it's going to always come back at the end. And then same with backhand. It's going to hyzer flip to maybe turn, but it's always going to have fade at the end. So that's one reason why I like this understability, because it's not going to flip and then never come back out of it. This will always have a little bit of fade at the end to where it's going to come back for you at the end. And then I have a Wave, which I'm pretty sure this is misprinted, because this is probably like the most overstable Wave I've ever thrown. I thought that Waves were supposed to fly like this, and then I bought that in one new, and it was more flippy than this one. This one now is a little bit flippier, just because I've hit some trees, I've got some nicks in it now. I think it's still probably a little bit more overstable than that Wave, but the difference is, since this one's been beaten in a lot, is I can throw it like kind of dead straight, might get a baby hyzer flip out of it, but it doesn't have very much fade at the end. So this is like a very good tunnel shot disc. It almost flies like a mid-range or like a slow fairway driver, because it doesn't have a ton of fade or turn on it. So I love throwing this thing in the woods. I will throw it some out in the open, but I mostly throw it in the woods just because I know if I need something to go dead straight, this is going to be what I want to throw. And it's kind of the same with this Photon. This Photon and this Wave fly very similar. This just has a tad more fade on it. It's not very much, but it is just a tad. So if I have a slight headwind in the woods, I'll probably pull out this Photon just for my own sake, to know that I'll probably hold up just a tad more to the wind. It won't hold up against a lot of headwind, but it will hold up just against a little bit of headwind. So I love throwing these things because of how seasoned they are. So going up from that, I have these two traces, and these traces will fly similar to that Wave and Photon. It's just these are a little bit more stable. So if I have a little bit more of a headwind, these are going to fly very similar to those, but they both have more fade at the end. So I can throw these flat. They're going to go pretty straight. This one might flip a tad, but it's not going to flip much. This trace won't flip much, but it might flip a little. But both of these have a lot of fade at the end, so they're always going to be coming back at the end. Instead of the Wave and Photon, they don't really have much fade at the end anymore since they're so beat in. So that's when I'm going to be using both of these discs. Both very reliable. I know Simon's been throwing the Neutron Trace too for forehands, so it's such a workable disc, and this is probably my go-to distance driver for in the woods and open fields. I'll probably go into the next disc I'll be talking about, but these are both like really good woods discs if you're wanting something that's going to be reliably overstable but not super fast. Alright, so I'm going to get to my Octane. So I just got this Octane about a week ago now, and this thing, I think that it's slightly flippier than a new Octane, because I have a new Octane and it is pretty overstable. This one flies like a seasoned destroyer nuke. I used to throw nukes, and this was like this flies like my beat-in nuke. And this is what I've been looking for a while, because I've been throwing those traces for a little bit, but this Octane goes farther than the trace. This thing is going to be my open course bomber disc. I can get hyzer flip straight shots, or if I want to turn it, I can get good flex shots out of this too. It's not super understable, but it's going to be a very reliable understable. It's not going to burn on me at all. I'll know that it's always going to fight out of it. This is definitely going to be my go-to disc for open shots. And then now getting to my last two distance drivers that are going to be both headwind discs. So this Photon, I will throw it forehand and probably backhand, even if there's not a lot of wind. If I want something pretty overstable, but it's like a throwable overstable, then this is what I'm going to be throwing. If I have a lot of headwind, but I still want to get a good flight out of it, I'm going to be throwing this Photon, because I know that I can throw it flat. It might turn a little bit, but it's going to come back every single time. So I'll be throwing this, or if I want a forehand that's going to go right really hard at the end, then I'll be throwing this Photon. It's going to be super reliable, but not beefy like this next disc. So I have this Flare, which is super overstable. I think everybody needs a disc like this. This is going to be a disc that wind isn't going to affect it. It's going to go left on a backhand every single time. It's probably not going to matter what the wind is doing. Or if you need a skip shot, this thing's going to skip for you every time. If you need some sort of really overstable utility shot, this is 9-speed, so it's going to be pretty fast. It's faster than the Resistor. I think it's more overstable than the Resistor too. So this is just going to be my super reliable disc in skip shot situations, or if I don't need a lot of distance but I need the overstability, this is probably what I'm going to be using. So that pretty much is all in my bag. If MVP, if y'all end up seeing this, one reason I have all these discs is I'm trying to get on y'all's team, so hopefully y'all see this. The only thing is I just can't find a replacement for the Zone and the Berg right now. I know y'all have the glitch, but I don't really throw that glitch forehand. It's not super forehand friendly, but other than those two discs, pretty much throwing all MVP. So hopefully one of these days I'll be on their team. So thanks for watching the video, and if you have any questions about any of my discs or whatever, I've been trying a whole bunch of discs and MVPs lineup because they're so forehand friendly. Just shoot me a message on here or follow me on Instagram, and I'll try to get back to you. So thanks for watching the video, and if you like the video, please subscribe. Thanks.